Yeah, g'day and welcome back to the channel. Last week's episode, I was helping out a gentleman suffering from a pretty severe case of British car ownership. The fan hub on his 1956 Morgan Plus 4 had let go, taking out the radiator of this rather rare car. The owner was able to source a used fan and a new water pump plus pulley, but unfortunately they don't fit together. So that's where I came in. I got to make an adapter for him. If you missed that video, go and watch it now. Go ahead, we'll wait for you. So there's a lot of good feedback on that video. Thanks for everybody who commented. Basically, there's a bit of controversy. It turns out we can kind of split people into one of two groups. When it comes to gluing car parts, there are fans and there are haters. And if I take a look, turns out seems there are more haters than fans. I put the question to the owner of the car and he responded, and since it's his car, his parts, his risk, that's what we'll do. I'll add a couple of set screws just to back up the adhesive and mechanically lock this flange in place. Turns out opinions also divide over British cars from last century. See, some people love them and some people hate them. And when I go through the comment section, and aircraft. You get the picture. So, let's put a couple of set screws in. Oh man, I just realized I got adhesive in that joint as well. It's going to be fun getting this fan off. Oh look, our number one fan Nico's come to visit. He's working on his scooter trailer again, which I hopefully will get out of my basement soon. Hey Nico, check this out. I didn't want to glue the fan on, I just wanted to glue the spacer on.
Remember 4 days ago? Remember our discussion about Loctite? Me Loctiting some stirs and the brake disc on my car?
So the story of you Loctiting the brake disc to the car was a warning to me to not glue the fan.
Well, that was a piece of information, yeah?
I didn't quite, okay, I didn't listen.
So what do we do now? Basically it's glued.
It's glued, yeah. I really need it off to put the set screws in.
So, hammer. It's hammer time.
Oh man, this poor paint job. I mean, the paint job looked like shit anyway, so if I got wood, I don't need a mallet. I can use a hammer.
Are you gonna mess the paint? Seems to give up, yeah?
Alright. Oh wow.
So we just made a point of the Loctite haters.
Yeah, I think we did, yeah. So what length set screws do I need? The outside's 100. About 42.4. Half of that, 21.2. So these are M6 set screws. 20 mil, perfect. Next up, I need to mount and index these holes. I guess I'll use my rotary table to mount this, and then I can easily index around the holes. I've started to use my hacked Polaroid camera to document some of my shop work, because otherwise I never really use it. Right, that's not going anywhere. The mounting holes in this casting were never machined, so it's just how they came out of the sand. Man, I wish I knew somebody with a mill who could clean those up for me. I think we might have been down this part before. First we fixture the part down. Then we home the machine. So now I'm putting in the edge finder so that I can go through and find the centers and edges of my work. Now I also need to find the center line here in Y. I can't get my center finder down onto this edge that easily. So if I just extend that point up in space, I can touch off up here. Not having a CNC fourth axis, I'll be doing most of the cranking manually, so I might as well just punch the holes manually with the quill. Now with drilling finished, it's time to tap those holes. When I use the quill with the Tapmatic, I can fall off the end of my anti-rotation bar, get too low, so I just added another bar here. Yeah, like this, I also don't have quite enough vertical distance for the retract mechanism to work properly, but that doesn't matter, it just freewheels. Since I don't want to go through and hit that through bolt, I'll finish tapping the holes then manually. There were a couple of other good suggestions in the comments section. One of which would have simply been make a decent interference fit, heat the aluminium and shrink it on. I probably should have done that. If you were wondering why I offset the grub screw hole away from the center line forward, it's because there was a step on the inside. I didn't want to tap a hole in the step. Quick degreasing. Right, these screws are going in with the high strength stuff. They're supposed to be permanent. Well, for that to ever come loose, it would have to rattle around like hell first, whereas the fan is supposed to come off, so it just gets some of the weak thread locker, just enough so they don't back out under vibration. Now before this gets installed, there's one more thing I want to look at. It seems quite a few of us are curious about its balance. I don't own a balancing jig, and since I already made a mandrel, and I've got some centers for the Clarkson tool and cutter grinder, maybe I can like pack them up on V-blocks or something and bodge up something just to get a feel for whether this thing's got a massive imbalance or not. For this to have any chance of working, I'm going to need a center in each end of this mandrel. Right, now flip it and do the other end. Right guys, I want you to promise not to laugh, but this is what I came up with as a balancing jig. Now I know it looks a little bit Rube Goldbergish. Yeah, it is. Right, let's see what gravity says. Between 3 and 4. Well, I don't see much of a pattern there. I don't see any indication of unbalance, so I would say with my perfect balancing jig, this is fantastic. Now I tasked our number one fan Nico with getting a Woodruf kit, and I appreciate all of the assistance you guys gave me in trying to get him to hurry up and get one. However, he went online searching for Woodruf key, and this is what he came back with. And of course, all of his attention went to the picture on the left-hand side. Woohoo, cookie! Mail time. Are you kidding? Nico, you're not helping this project. Right, I better start preparing my toolbox for the installation. I guess this is also a milling process. Oh shit. Anyone else suspect that I screwed up that somehow? Right, round 2. All right, that looks more like it. Rather than fluffing around waiting for Nico to get a Woodruf key, I'll just make one. Looks like they're normed with sort of a 3-letter code. So that wood's about 125,000th of a banana. That must be about 2/16. And the depth is? So let's call that 21/100ths of a banana. And then I need this dimension, then I need this dimension. Now looking at the chart, it seems I need a 405 Woodruf key, which is an 1/8 by 5/8. That's the closest I can find, because that's then cut down to a height of somewhere about 250. So what do I use? This is 16mm stock, so it only gives me 7 thou of material to remove. Probably won't quite clear up the mill scale. Then again, how important is the outside perfect edge on a Woodruf key? Probably not. Or I chop it out of this 20mm. Let's see how this cleans up. So how do I choose which lathe to use? Well, for these sort of very simple, quick, one-off jobs, I think as long as the CNC lathes don't have 2 jog wheels to control the X and Y axis like a manual lathe, I think a manual is just much quicker. That's why I'm going to put 2 jog wheels on my Schaublin. 625 is the minimum diameter. It's supposed to be between 625 and 643, so that's undersized. Let's start again with the larger diameter stock. Just entered the tolerance field. Damn, I just realised I left my ring on. Not cool. Let's give it a quick polish. And I need to part it off at 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more, and I'll turn it around and tidy up the other face. Let's quickly deburr that edge. I looked it up, the tolerance is pretty tight. I need to be between 3/14 and 3/16 of a millimetre. Well, wish me luck. I think the best chance of holding such a small piece and turning it to get a reasonably parallel rear surface is to put it in a collet and then tap it true. It took me absolutely forever to try and tap this thing to run true. Considering the allowable tolerance field is 2/100ths, and I've got at least 3/100ths of scatter around my 0 point there, we'll see how it mics up once I'm finished. I'll set my top slide parallel to the bed and then just dial in the depth of cut with it. First I need the lightest touch off. Right, there's my touch off, and my target dimension is going to be 2 dashes before 2. Taking lots of nice light cuts here because I don't want this thing to move in the collet. My tolerance is 24 to 25.5. So it looks like I have a thick side and a thin side. There's a bit of a taper on it. Yeah, on the thin side I'm under tolerance by about 3/4 of a thou. But on the thick side, I'm just in the tolerance field. Since I'm chopping less than 1/2 of it, I'll just use the thick side. However, the brand new water pump has such nasty burrs that it only just starts. I've already deburred the one side, so let's get in and deburr the other edge of it. So much for standards and tolerances, huh? Right, this is the setup to mill these little buggers. Problem I've got is that my one parallel is too thin, but the next size up sticks out above the top of the jaws. So I'll put a 3mm packing piece under the parallel, and then the second problem is the parallel is thicker than the part. So I'll use a second bit of tool steel to clamp it. But before I lock all those parts down, I need to touch off to find my Z height. I've only got a 2 thou height tolerance to play with. So to touch off, I'll use Joe blocks. 247 thou is 6 to 7 of a millimetre. So if we take a 5 and a 1.27, we should be able to then ring those together. This set's a bit worn out, but there we have it. Right, now I can touch off my tool above that surface. With that said, I can switch out the joe blocks for the parts. Oh bugger, that second one didn't quite clean up. I guess I didn't quite get it level enough. Quick deburr. Right, target dimension is for it to mic up between 245 and 250. Alright, about smack bang in the tolerance field. Well, that was a surprising amount of work to make what's probably a 50-cent part, but hey, now we have it. But at least I've got a spare. So I've got the parts to install, got the tools, got the camera equipment, my dirty work jacket, because it's snowing out here. Don't know if you can see the snow falling, but missing the cheap labour to install it. Where's our number one fan, Nico? So here we are at the Morgan. So we're mounting the water pump and fan, and then the radiator. Get to work, Nico. So we're going to install that Woodruf key, huh?
Yeah, do you have a hammer?
I think I bought one in the toolbox.
Is that your toolbox?
Yep, made it myself in my apprenticeship.
Is it everything you need just to repair an aircraft?
All the tools you're ever going to need, mate.
Yes. So I think we need some spliers. We don't need that. Ah!
There we go.
Got it.
Now we can do the job. I think we need a bigger hammer, huh?
Pretty worthless.
Let's put that back in the toolbox. When it came time to install stuff, I figured the best way was just to do a time lapse. So, here you go. Once we got the fan in and spun up by hand, we thought it was time for a quick clearance check. Stop, something fell down. Oh look, they put a warning label on it. Lucas, Prince of Darkness. So why do the English like their beer warm? Because Lucas also made refrigerators. You also got to check out these windscreen wipers. I bet they're also from Lucas.
Unheard of.
It doesn't leak? Uh-oh.
No.
Oh, that means all the fluids are empty.
Honestly, what is that here? Are you kidding me?
Oh. Lucky I made one, because it would have cost 18 cents to get a new one. Well, for me that was mission accomplished, so I left about then. Nico and Malcolm continued putting all the nose of the car back together and getting all its cowlings back on. Can't take it for a test drive because it's winter here. It'll be tucked up nice and warm in the garage until spring comes. Now, as should be obvious, from someone who can spend 4 hours making an 18-cent part which is not even needed, I'm an amateur and not a professional. But now I'm a professional too, because I got paid for this job. Thanks a lot, Malcolm. 2 jars of Vegemite. Yum. Now guys, if you like my content, please buy me a loaf of bread so I can spread my Vegemite on it. There's links to Patreon and YouTube membership down below. Thanks a lot for watching.